American citizens, black
Yes.
American citizens, when we are having a conversation about how customary it is to detain someone, I want people to remember the historic implications of that for black people.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yesterday's news channel where we watch CNN so you don't have to. Tonight on Newsnight with Abby Phillip, Scott Jennings was once again outnumbered by a gaggle of CNN morons. In the clip we're about to watch, the panel is talking about conservative commentator Nick Sorter's arrest in Portland and trying to frame it as the excuse for Trump sending in the military, I guess. CNN, I think, wants us to believe that that arrest somehow forced Trump to act in Portland, but it's just nonsense. The truth is, the administration had been signaling for weeks that federal forces were coming to protect government property and crack down on the escalating unrest. So what I'm trying to say is the entire premise of this segment is bullshit. Scott Jennings is forced to debate a fantasy. It's just weird. But I guess that's just another day at the office for Scott. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings get lectured with a dose of race baiting from a group of professional complainers and laugh it off. Let's go.
Out the police's overreach or the military's overreach in these communities when folks who disagree with this administration bring these claims as well.
Yeah, I mean, how does that work, Scott? I mean, all of a sudden, obviously journalists shouldn't be arrested, but this is not the first time, even in the last few months, that journalists have been arrested at protests. And it seems that in this particular instance, he was in a physical altercation with protesters. And so everybody was arrested. So now all of a sudden that's a predicate for bringing the military into Portland?
Well, no, the predicate is that Portland has been occupied by Antifa for quite some time. You guys keep calling them protests. These aren't protests. These are violent people. They're attacking law enforcement. They're attacking federal facilities. The President of the United States has every obligation to defend federal facilities and federal personnel there. I agree with you. It is a disgrace. It's a disgrace that we have an American city that is essentially being occupied by left-wing radicals, and the locals won't do anything about it. And so now the president...
Exaggeration of what's happening.
It is not an
Portland.
exaggeration.
I mean,
I see the video.
By local officials has been described as something that's essentially happening in one city block of Portland.
They are assaulting the ICE facilities. They are assaulting the ICE agents.
Is a city. And it's not a perfect city, but it is a city. And something occurring in one city block is suddenly Portland is war ravaged.
Do you dispute that they've attacked the ICE facility?
I didn't say anything about that. I said that it's happening in one block of the city.
Is that,
so?
How many blocks is it?
Does that constitute Portland being a war ravaged city?
I think what's happened in Portland is a disgrace. Nobody wants to go there. And yes, parts of the city are ravaged by these protesters. And federal officials
would you describe the city as being
believe their facilities are under attack.
Even when there are violent protests, which, by the way, nothing new about violent protests, as you know.
So it's not new, so we should let it go.
When violent protests happen, law enforcement has a responsibility to handle it. But would you describe an entire city as war ravaged when there are protests, even if they're violent, that's happening outside of a single building?
Yes, I would say if there are violent protests happening against a federal facility, they are being ravaged. I completely agree with that language.
Okay, all right.
Portland isn't a war-ravaged city. I think political spin is a part of ginnying up everything that you need to do to execute whatever agenda that you have. I mean, the president said that he feels like American cities can be training grounds for the military. Anyone who halfway cares about the freedom of the average America, that should have a chilling effect on you.
I just spoke with the president about this, and he has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will prevail, and President Trump will make sure of it.
It just feels like this has just become a way for the administration to use immigration agents as their personal police force, a federal police force, which, by the way, is not the way that they're supposed to be used.
Well, they are federal law enforcement, and to the extent that you have illegal immigration activity or attacks on ICE facilities in a city, the federal government has to enforce the law and defend their property. This didn't start in Portland a few days ago. This has been going on and on and on for years. Why does a major American city get to exist in a state of anarchy, even if it's not the entire city, even if it's just a block, however big it is? Why does that get to be perpetuated? Why is that okay? Why are we accepting this decline in America?
I'm not understanding why all of a sudden this form of anarchy is so different from, say, high crime in southern cities that are Republican states, that doesn't
And
rise
with
to
Democrat
your,
mayors?
Maybe.
No, definitely.
Maybe. But I'm just saying, like, listen, we have a federalized system in this country where states get to run their own states. All of a sudden, that's not acceptable to you.
It's not acceptable for local officials to allow anarchy where federal buildings are under attack. And regarding southern cities, they've been in Memphis all week. And by the way, it's working. They've arrested hundreds of people, illegal guns, people with serious violence in their background. They've made immigration arrests. It's working in Chicago, over 1,000 arrests this week. They're not singling out Portland. They're going after any city with massive illegal immigration, local violence, and bad people that need to be taken off the streets.
So let me get this straight. Abby's big problem with this is that, well, it's only 1 or 2 blocks, as if that makes it acceptable. Here's the problem. If one block is terrorizing an entire city, that's enough. Ordinary people don't care if it's 2 blocks or 20. They just know their city isn't safe. So the real question back to Abby is, how many blocks have to burn before federal government is allowed to step in and clean it up? How many people have to be attacked or killed before Democrats stop pretending it's just a minor inconvenience? This is why people are fed up. And the people in that studio, the Democrats in that studio, they write off crime because they don't feel it. They're insulated in gated communities. But normal people see the impact every day. They want the criminals locked up, not coddled. Abby's panel can act appalled all they want, but Scott's the only one acknowledging the obvious. You don't wait until the whole city collapses before enforcing the law. 1 block of chaos is already too many. Back to it.
Homes in the middle of the night because of this over militarization of a community, and just to think of the trauma and what that's going to do for the next generations to come.
It's terrible when the children of Tren de Aragua are having to be separated.
I know the children argument doesn't work for Republicans because it never has.
Violent situations.
But I actually
we don't
have
actually
this bit of
know.
humanity.
First of all, we don't know who those children were, but I imagine that there were other children who were not.
There were a lot of black
affiliated with any
children
of
who
the-
were unaffiliated.
Plenty of kids who were not affiliated.
Black children, black people who were ripped
Exactly.
from their homes and detained
For hours.
with no warrants for hours,
Yeah, but detain is-
traumatized. Detain what?
Detain what?
First of all, detain is not the same as arrest. Second,
How would you like to be detained sitting outside of your home?
Wait. Why don't we go over what standard procedures are? When immigration officials and federal authorities are entering a hostile situation where there are known criminals and known members of a terrorist organization, they have to go in and detain. Yes. And when you're going in there to,
I just want to be clear that what you're talking about, because we talked about this at the beginning. Children zip tied, okay?
By the way, DHS disputes that. They dispute it.
We can't believe everything
hold on a
comes
second.
from
I
this
called them.
administration.
We talked about this
Okay.
this afternoon. I called them. I said point blank. What about this? They said that did not happen. They did say this.
Of course they're going to say that.
Hold on. What did they say did not happen?
They said this did not happen. But oftentimes and every time when they go into a situation with violent people, the first thing they do is remove children from a dangerous situation, and they're not in the care of DHS. They immediately go into the care of HHS.
So let me just.
The horrors of what happened to the children is one thing. You also had American citizens, black
Yes.
American citizens that were drugged out of their homes and detained and put through something that they should not have had to go through. And when we are having a conversation about how customary it is to detain someone, I want people to remember the historic implications of that for black people.
Okay, hold on. Wait, what would be? Wait, let me ask you honestly. What would be the alternative to go in there and say, okay, guys, raise your hand if you are an American citizen, and we're going to let you out of here. Do you trust people to be honest?
I say all the time, I'm tired of the race baiting and playing the race card. I'm really, really, really tired of it now. Cowboy Hat said with a straight face, black people went through something. What's the something? He's comparing being detained to slavery. That is effing absurd. Nobody is saying skin color should decide whether or not you face the law. The only thing that matters is, did you commit a crime or not? Being detained isn't some permanent trauma. Law-abiding citizens get pulled over for traffic stops all the time. They don't cry that their rights have been stolen. They move on with their lives. And I know I'm a white man and my opinion doesn't matter in the whole black-white thing, but just let me say, the worst thing about this to me is the way Cowboy Hat frames it. As if black Americans are so spiritually weak, they can't even handle being inconvenienced. Let's be real clear. That's not compassion. That's condescension. I think I cut it off before this, but Abby Phillip ends up trying to back him up by rattling off a list of rights that had nothing to do with what was being discussed. But what she did mention is there's no right not to be detained. If my own kid or relative or friend got mixed up around shady people, I'd want the cops to sort it out. That's common sense. But CNN would rather race bait, distract, and pretend that holding criminals accountable is somehow unjust. That's why conservatives love what Scott does on here. He just dominates these debates because he says what most of us normal Americans are thinking. What do you guys think? Should cities be more aggressive in getting repeat offenders off the street? Or do you agree with Abby Phillip that detentions are a bigger problem than crime itself? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. No announcements today. I'm gonna have some merch soon, but I don't want to say that because I've promised things before by certain dates and it never happens. But I'm excited about it. It will happen. I'll give you a better idea of when I actually know. So I want you guys to know I really never take for granted that your time's valuable and you take some time out of your day to watch my videos. It really, really means a lot to me. So thank you so much. Otherwise, I've just got two more things I want to say. One, Jesus loves you. And two, put God first. See you guys.